Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, dear family. Welcome to my as live tour of Herculaneum Part 1. How are you? It's really hot here, even in Italy, even if it's about quarter past 8 p.m., but it's really, really, really hot. How are you? Let's see who we have here in the chat. Always, I have my second device to control it. Hello, Tish. Hello, Susan. Hello, Catherine, Rebecca. Uh, everyone, Marilyn, thank you for all of friends that you are connected. I'm back in my garden and there are a few mosquitoes around because the temperature in Italy, I guess, in the best part of the world, is very, very, very hot. And it's really hard to run tours with this heat also for the travelers. We are facing a very unusual heat. The problem is also the high percentage of humidity. So the feeling temperature is pretty strong. So if you're considering to do a tour in Pompeii, Herculaneum, anyway, in Italy in general, July July can be a month proper very very hot. So make sure this. June is still okay. September is the best, but July, August can be very tough, really tough. So let's wait another couple of minutes and then we start our as live tour of Herculaneum, which is a very interesting site. I did a video a couple of months ago when it was cooler, the temperature. It was in May. We had a very bad weather in May. It was raining a lot. I don't know if you remember. There were also some floodings in the central part of Italy, but at least it was cooler. Yeah, it's really hard to go around with a phone when it's too hot because the device can be stuck. So this as a live tour in the evening, it's a perfect way to explore some very beautiful and special locations as Herculaneum. Hello Satyan, hello. Very hot here, Marilyn, Steven. That's true. So remember before we start to put a like on my channel if you want and if you can. You can subscribe to the channel so you will help me to reach the wall of 1,000 subscribers. That is something really important for us, especially this year. It's for me it's a training, especially this summer, because my plan is to be in late September, October with a lot of new tours in live. I mean live tours when the weather is much better and the real life tours in person tours. I mean will be less than in a high season. With all of my channel complete to be with you everywhere through the region Campania. So also if you have friends, you can ask them to subscribe or to put a like, which is very important. Ciao Sil, ciao. So today we are gonna explore Herculaneum Part 1. There are four episodes of this beautiful archaeological site, which is a UNESCO site. And today is the first. Tomorrow we will be the second part. So have in mind that tomorrow we will be again together. As you know, my tours will be public. I never put any ban on my tours. Anyone can watch them. That is another important thing that because I want to make my channel open for everyone. So you can use it also to plan your trip in the future. Why not? You can contact us, which is Naples Grand Tour. You can contact to plan your trip, your tours. Why not? Maybe with me or one with the guides working, specialized guides with my team. Yeah, the thumb up, that's very important. Uh, Tomorrow, the second part of Herculaneum, and next week, the third and the fourth part. So we will complete for the end of July the whole understanding of this beautiful, beautiful site. Herculaneum. So let's start our tour now. I will share the video soon, but let me give you first an introduction of this important site. Where is located and how many people are coming per year to visit this site? It's less crowded than Pompeii, but it's a Roman colony that was completely devastated, destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius 79 AD. So we are in the same timeline, in the same location, the same event that covered Pompeii. But at Pompeii, there are 4 million of travelers going every year. Herculaneum has more or less, well, in the last few years it started to be very popular, but 1 million of travelers. A gap of 20 minutes on a train, 10 kilometers apart from both sides, and very well preserved, with amazing frescoes, great mosaics, and stunning elements like wood, carbonized, to see. Why not so many people are going to visit Herculaneum? Because maybe there are not so many people explaining this site. So my goal is that you can spread the word and you can share with your friends that Herculaneum can be a must for a visit. So 79 after Christ was this huge explosion of the Mount Vesuvius. They literally filled the whole region Campania, well, from the south of the volcano till the Sorrento Peninsula, with the tons of ash and other material like pumice, lapilli stones, and Herculaneum with something called lahar, which is a mix of land, rain, and volcanic material that filled the whole slopes from the volcano till the coast with extra land. So Herculaneum basically it's totally covered with about 20 up to 24 meters, so 65 feet roughly of solid, hard like a rock mud. Let's share the video so you will understand where we are. Welcome to Herculaneum. Here we are, dear family. That is the stunning, beautiful archaeological site, UNESCO Heritage World List place of Herculano. That literally means city founded by Hercules. The first foundation of a village in this place was not in the Roman time, but we need to go back in between the 7th and the 6th century BC, where during some incredible archaeological excavations, we discovered pottery inscriptions from the Oscan age. Oscans were local communities of people living in the region Campania before Greeks, before the Samnites, before Romans. I'm mentioning a lot of several cultures because they were all living in this part of the coast. Because Herculaneum, during the Roman time, during the Roman period, it was a beautiful town with a more or less 4,000 people facing the coast. Today, the sea it's about 450 meters from where we are standing, and all of this extra land was produced during the eruption of 79 AD. So what you can see now into the screen, all of this empty field, that was all produced, which is something unbelievable. The power of that eruption was something that people remembered for centuries after. Where was the coast back then? Well, actually, the coast was where you can see now the docks. That was the place where my professor, during the 1980s, during the last excavation, the big last excavations of Herculaneum, he discovered the tragedy of the city. But we will talk about it soon. But when you see arches, that was the ancient docks. So basically, where I'm standing, that is the level of a seagull flying around the bay of Herculaneum. So all of this extra land literally covered the whole site, and little by little, step by step, from the 1738, when the excavation started, until a few decades ago, Herculaneum it was an incredible challenge for the archaeology. In one shot now you will see the Roman colony, the modern Herculaneum placed above, and unfortunately it's covered by clouds, but right behind there is the huge shape of the volcano, the Mount Vesuvius. I'm doing a zoom much more so you can see the great terrace to the right, which is the funeral monument of Marcus Nonio Balbo, which was one of the most important patrons of the city of Herculaneum. And right below, all of these arches were a group of Romans, a group of citizens, a group of people living there found the tragedy. They believed to find a place to escape. But unfortunately, that is the place. Those are the shelter. I made a pause now in the video, so no problem. There is no buffering at all. That is the place where a group of families, a group of people, related and not related to each other, wanted to wait for someone coming to help them. Because what happened back then? The Roman admiral Pliny the Elder tried to help people that they were waiting down to the coast. Somewhere were in Stabia, somewhere in Herculaneum. But unfortunately, no one could reach the coast because the high waves, because of the eruption, produced very strong and rough sea. And most of the fugitives that they were in there, instead to find help, they found death. Because when the pyroclastic flow, after hours from the explosion that produced a huge pyroclastic pillar that Pliny the Younger, the person who described in depth and stage by stage, step by step, the eruption described as the shape of a pine tree, when some surge, the flow, filled gas and high temperature ash arrived to the city of Herculaneum with a power of 600 Celsius degrees that literally vaporized any form of people and made the charcoal any kind of wood that was around the city. When the professor made the excavation down to the docks, he found 300 people, most of them removed. Now what we can see are the plaster cast of the skeletons still in the same position where they were discovered. That is a unique event because it's the largest group of people who died for a natural disaster ever discovered to an archaeological site. Most of them, there were women, kids, and old people. And most of them were discovered with the so-called boxer pose. Yeah, the skeletons have been moved. What we have are the plaster cast, but the cast made in the same position where they were found. Now all of the skeletons are in the anthropological storage. Important to study a lifestyle, case of death. That is in the right bottom left corner. You can see a mother with her daughter. Most of them, I was telling you, they were in the fetal position or with a boxer pose because the steam was so strong and some of the skulls literally exploded. That was a really a tragedy event. You can see it by the ship there. Some of the clouds moved. You can see the Mount Vesuvius behind the homes of the modern Herculaneum. Because what we can see, dear family, is only 1/4 of the extensions of the Roman colony. So we still have 3/4, a lot of acres of archaeological remains of treasures beneath a modern city. So there are people sleeping every single day above a gem like Herculano. Herculano, that at the time of Caesar, Augustus, Tiberius, it was a rich enclave where a lot of aristocracy, but also there were a lot of freed slaves with a lot of money and power, political power, who lived in this place. So mainly we don't have so many commercial activities like Pompeii or so many like little shops, but Herculaneum were mainly homes. You can see now into the map that the city adopted the typical Greek-Roman layout with the cardini, the north to south roads, and east to west decumani. So the shape was agreed. There was a city walls around, and the city was literally built in front of the sea. Well, on the sea, like a modern Sorrento, can be a modern Amalfi. So there were also little sailors. There was a proper local economy alive. There was a river passing through the city and a standing theater. Actually, the theater was the first building discovered, but the theater it's still buried under modern buildings. Actually, there are some incredible visits that you can do if you book in advance, that you can pass through the original tunnel that give the chance to the travelers of the Grand Tour to visit the stunning remains of the theater of Herculaneum, the beginning of the archaeology, the beginning of the Grand Tour. And also, let me tell you, it was also one of the inspiration because I wanted to call my company Grand Tour Experience. Now we are on a channel which is called the Naples Grand Tour. The Grand Tour was born especially thank you to the excavations of Herculaneum first at Pompeii after in the 1748. No, Rebecca, the excavations cannot go at the moment under the modern city because it can be very dangerous. What you can see now to the right side of your screen, that is all part of the mud that has been removed little by little, I was telling you, from the walls of the Roman city. So when Pompeii was found, unfortunately, Herculaneum had not so much chance for the excavations because it was hard to remove all of this material. So all of the interest, all of the money from the Bourbon house, because the king who discovered Herculaneum and Pompeii was the King Charles of Bourbon. Then the excavation went over with the son Ferdinando and after as well. But we need to wait the 1800 to get back to Herculaneum excavations in proper open air. So, because it was really hard. At the beginning, the excavations were done with the so-called pozzi e cunicoli, which means wells and tunnels. And it's interesting because in most of the gouache, or most of the paintings of the Grand Tour artist, we can see actually travelers with the torches coming to discover the beauty of Herculaneum. The roads are perfectly intact. The basalt that you can see now from the local economy because they just used material from the bay to build the city. The tufa stone, the limestone coming from the coast, and the basalt from the volcanic material. I love Herculaneum because also we have a great experiment which is called archaeobotanic, where archaeologists in partnership with the University of the Faculty of Agriculture of Napoli, they could understand, studying the seeds or the remains of the roots, what kind of plants and trees they had in their proper garden or hortus, like this one here, where they found in this huge peristelium the still original gather for the collection of water, and they found the trees of apples and pomegranate plus roses. The house where now we are, it's called Casa dell'Albergo, which means house of the hotel, because at the beginning they believed it was a huge place giving the hosting guests coming to the city because it was built above the city walls facing the coast. But then they realized it was just a very rich family with these stunning mosaics made with this contrast of basalt and travertine as a decorations of the peristyle, the peristelium, which is a colonnade or a mixture of columns running around an inner courtyard. And look, please, the decorations, beautiful, of this other room, but now it's completely lost the ceiling and the plaster around, but very elegant and beautiful geometrical lines, flowers, and the contrast with the black and white. Very, very. This is something typical of the early first century. Herculaneum, most of people are telling, especially internet, I read in forum, that is more preserved than Pompeii. It really depends where you go in Pompeii, because I'm planning to show you the House of Vetti in 2 weeks. And that is a stunning preservation, no? The House of Vetti in Pompeii is unique, like the Villa of Mystery. Herculaneum, for some aspect, is more preserved because in Herculaneum we can find steel furniture, like doors, like tables. In the next few episodes of Herculaneum, you will see proper doors, tables, a bed frame carbonized. So in that case, that is more preserved. The reason why the wood survived in Herculaneum is because of the steam. 600 Celsius degrees literally gave the chance to the wood to lose any water and all the organic material turned to charcoal, and then has been preserved because mud around with no oxygen, with no water, could preserve in the best way, like a sort of an ice cube. That is the tunnel and the gate through the city wall that people have to run, have to do when they escaped during the last hours of the eruption. The eruption happened in which season? Recently, the date of the eruption changed from August, as we knew till a few years ago, to the end of October. Because during the excavations of Pompeii, but even this theory was alive into the archaeological community from the 1980s, but just a few years ago it changed because in Pompeii was discovered a graffiti on a wall that changed the date from August to the end of October. Ciao CC, ciao Rosemary Waters. What we can see now into the screen is actually the garden, the inner garden, with still an intact ceiling with a roof and tiles. The scaffolding is supporting it, but part of the original wood is still there. This was the inner garden of another big house because Herculaneum had huge accommodations. All of these rich Roman families had their beautiful and stunning accommodations facing the coast, and they could call very famous artists working there, able to make mosaics, able to create stunning frescoes, and also they used a lot of glass paste, pasta vitrea, and we will see also some mosaics made with that element. Most of the homes in Herculaneum that you can see the streets are so intact. In that case, the wood that you can see, that is a modern restoration. When you see a live wood, that is modern. When you see charcoal, that is Roman. Outside the homes, there were benches, and through this net, unfortunately, the net is so thick uh, to avoid that pigeons or other animals can go inside. You can see the stunning and beautiful decorations. I'm making a pose now of an original mosaics on the floor. The back of the room, which is the atrium, where you can see the impluvium used for the collection of rainwater, it looks like a carpet falling down because during the eruption, the earthquakes destroyed the support of the cistern placed beneath the impluvium, which is the pool right there. And that's why it looks like a shroud. But in the Roman time, the whole pavement was totally flat and rigid, solid. Well, Susan, the eruption lasted for, uh, it depends where it was, but more or less was a day. But after a few hours, the first sewage started to collapse from the slopes of the volcano, all the very heavy material through the coast. Then if we imagine that the rains of ash happened for days after the explosion, we can say that was for a few days. But in terms of surge, which is the steam, that was after the 8-12 hours from the beginning of the eruption. So in the very early morning, the first daylight hours, let's say, that the first surge arrived to the city. You can still see there original grid for the windows. The bars are made of metal. They cannot remove the material volcanic around because otherwise they will be completely destroyed because the metal is very, very fragile at the moment. And most of the buildings are built with the so-called opus reticulatum, which is this special technique of construction that Pliny the Elder describes very well in his book Naturalis Historia, that was used also to prevent um, movement. Even if there was not a proper know-how that the volcano was a volcano, they had the signs before the eruption, especially under the time of Nero in the 62. There was a very strong earthquake, and the city of Herculaneum, like also Pompeii, they were under restoration. Now, the statue that you can see that is a replica is an Herma, of one of the ancestors of this house. The original is in the museum. The ceiling, in this case, has been restored. And the hole in the middle, which is called the compluvium, it was like that in the Roman time. all of the decorations made of clay around around that, it was its original. And that is the impluvium, which is another big collection of rainwater that went right under the cistern. So every Roman house had this connection with architecture, nature, collection of rainwater. Even from the time of the Emperor Augustus, the whole region Campania had a huge aqueduct that was, for example, a latrine, which is a toilet, and also used for the waste, um, mm, for food and other things. It's interesting to see, like in Herculaneum, we still find a lot of this downpipe. That is a clay downpipe that was used to collect the water or waste from the second floor right under the ground. Because Herculaneum, comparing Pompeii, had a really extended sewage system, so was a city proper clean, and then, because it was connected with the coast, all of the waste went directly to the sea because of dependence of the city. Will the people have died quickly? Barbara, that is another good question. It depends. The case of deaths were different, were not all the same. The case of that could be the panic. Most of the people, we found fractures on the bones because they tried to escape down to the bay, but they were stepping on each other, so that was a horrible pain. Then, when the high waves smashed all the skeleton, well, the skeleton people first, into the docks, they had a lot of fractures, and the fractures um, gave them a lot of pain for hours before the steam arrived and literally killed them at the instant. But I mean, we cannot say that there was only one case of death, actually. So I'm walking now to another homes, and all of this walking through there is to show you that most of the homes in Herculaneum had a lot of space, and the best part of the walls were completely covered with the frescoes. The frescoes is this technique of paintings. When the plaster around the walls was wet, they were artists with the pigments, most of them mineral pigments like cinnabar or metal, like that, or for example malachite or ochre to cover the walls. In this case, you can see a beautiful and very elegant late first century BC mosaics with pieces of several marble with different shapes that was covering the whole entrance of this house, the house of Alcova, Casa dell'Alcova. Uh, but it depends the preservation on which part of the surge arrived, or the statics of the buildings were placed. Some of the walls has still part of this famous blue color used with the cobalt, and a lot of these fourth Roman style frescoes with the architectural design very theatrical around the walls. Yes, poor people is true. And then you can see some pinakes, some little paintings to the wall showing a lot of Greek stories, Greek mythology. In that case, we can see Venus with a little Cupid to the left. Because don't forget that people living in the Bay of Naples, they had a lot of Greek influence since the city. The whole bay had Greek foundations. The same city of Napoli means the new city in Greek language, Nea Polis, the new city. Uh, Most of the ceiling in Herculaneum is the process of a restoration that happened during the time of the famous archaeologist Maiuri. But the facade of the building, you can see where people are sitting on the so-called benches for the clientes, that is still original with the windows, and the upper floor still has inside cages made of wood, made of glass, the original wooden beams. And welcome to one of the most well preserved Roman homes of Herculaneum. This is called the House of the Wooden Partition, Casa del Tramezzo di Legno. We are now inside the atrium where we can see a beautiful marble table, the impluvium still there with a pedestal that's supposed to be the stand of a sculpture. I made a wide angle so you can see much better the whole extensions of this main room. The atrium was used for the public meeting, where Romans actually had the public meeting to create business, contract, the compluvium, and what is great, I love the remaining part of the frescoes around the walls. The population of Herculaneum was about 4,000 people, more or less. Doing any Are tourists doing any harm? What do you mean, Barbara? What do you mean for this? I'm reading the chat, so if you can please explaining better. The impluvium, I was telling you, it was used for the collection of rainwater, and all of that beautiful decorations in the middle of the pool that gave a special effect of glare and reflection for during a sunny day after a rain. While the Buddha beams now are modern, because otherwise it could not be possible to enter inside the house with carbonized Buddha beams, would be too dangerous for us. The clay decorations around the compluvium, that is still the original one. It's okay for the people to be so close to the excavations. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are inside the excavations at the moment, no? This house is famous for a few things. The first is a Roman carbonized bed frame. That is a unique artifact to discover. Not even in Pompeii or in Rome we can find something like this. The reason it's so preserved is the steam. So a tragedy of the eruption for so many people 2000 years ago, more or less, for us is the best preservation, because the bed that was in this room, this little cubiculum, it's still there after 20 centuries. For sure, the mattress that was made of um, straw or feather covered with a leather for skin from animals, it's completely gone. But despite the bed frame, we can also see an original door. This door gave the name to this house, which is called the House of the Wooden Partition, and I think is a phenomenal discovery, because this door from the Roman time, it's still there in situ in the same location. Now, protected with a glass, because otherwise people will go and touch for sure, but we can still see the same place where the owner or someone coming in this house to meet a family could touch and could see the same artifacts where now we are. This is amazing. Honestly, it worth a visit to Herculaneum, just this house, the house of the wooden partition. With still some elements of decorations around. I'm sorry if the glare or the reflection is not the best, but well, I am really wish you that you will come one day in person to see Herculaneum. So this wooden partition, this door was used as a sharing from the public part, the atrium and the peristylium. While here we can still see with this with the camera, I can make also the zoom to show you the detail of these stunning frescoes with all of these architecture elements painted with a lot of vineyards and flying birds around with this expensive red background used as a main pigment for the whole house. Yeah, it survived 2000 years ago, it's true. Yes, from Amsterdam to Herculaneum. It's a very, it's a great point, Polly. Thank you. For sure, it depends also of the lack if something has been more or less preserved. But we know also that Romans used to complete, to finish, to polish the frescoes with the marble dust to create a very beautiful shining effect. That's another interesting thing that in archaeology I love more. So we can relocate where some tiles were coming from. That is a sign, is a trademark, let's say, of the person or the team, the factory who produced tiles. And then matching them, we can understand where they were coming from and sometimes also the age. So thanks to little details like that, we can tell you the age and we can recreate like an ID card of, of a building. Welcome back to the city. We left now the back door. We are to another road of Herculaneum, and what you can see, that is the bathhouse with the gymnasium. We will go into the bath. Um, but first of all, I want to show you another incredible things for how advanced was this society. Some original lead pipes still in situ under the sidewalk of Ercolano. Yes, lead poisoning. Most of you will think now lead poisoning, but it was the lead poisoning. The lead was discovered dangerous for us, like last century. And this is like a temporary deposit where some of the artifacts discovered also around the site in a modern city, they are bringing them, studying like the porous piece of marble or statues. The sky it's not one of the best, but it's perfect for us because it will give us the chance to see with this video the perfect colors of Ercolano. In front of us at the end of this road, you will see a wall. That is the wall of mud, but doesn't mean that the city it's ending there. It will still go for hectares. And now, welcome to one of the main commercial activities, a restaurant slash bar, the so-called Thermopolium. Thermopolium, which is a L table shaped uh, stone. That is a little corner where the stove was, and where they could prepare food, storing the big jars called the dolium, closed with the lids, and the clay, the terracotta for the jars could keep better the temperature of any kind of solid or liquid food or drinks they prepared. The diet of the Roman time was not so different from today, but they used less meat, but more was vegetable, legumes, seafood, since we are in a bay. Uh, Today we will define it similar to the Mediterranean diet and very seasonal food. Herculaneum comparing Pompeii, it's missing the stepping stones. If you followed me through Pompeii tours, you will see a lot of stepping stones crossing the road. In Herculaneum, we don't have it because the city has to the underground a very um, important uh, sewer system. That is the entrance of another house where the decorations of the half columns made of local bricks can show us the symbol of a victory, a woman with wings, that in the Greek language it's called Nike. Today, most of us will pronounce as Nike, but it's wrong, it's Nike. Romans called the Vittoria, symbol of victory, Vittoria Latte. And then this is the entrance of another home where the main room that we can see has this beautiful remaining of a fresco with another paintings right in the middle. That was the fashion. That was how the artist and the team of artists used to work. They made huge architectural design painting to the wall with little paintings showing most of the time stories from the Odyssey, the travel of Ulysses, or the Iliades, the War of Troy. That was another part of a kitchen, and this plumbing system is incredible because you will see several pipes that they were also connected together through this pillar, so the water could pass through, washing everything that they used to prepare, and went to the underground wasting channel connected with the general one of the city. Wow! Then in this house, the frescoes are more preserved. We can also see some birds eating cherries or little pomegranates. I mean, it's not really clear. That looks like a magpie, honestly. But inside the room that now we're going, we have like a secret, beautiful, beautiful paintings. Most of the blue color was obtained with the lapis lazuli, but the quality here of this frame, it looks like a proper cloth white with a chiaroscuro design running from the left to the right with some little details of masks and cornucopia symbol giving us the effect of something alive. It looks like a curtain, honestly. I don't know if you can feel the same feeling and sensation that I have. People how could earn a living? They did every single job that we can imagine. They had apart IT and modern technology. There were people involved in the public things, so uh, working for the government. There were people that they were doing simple jobs, from cutting stones, preparing the Roman cement used to mix the bricks. They were architects, they were philosophers, they were soldiers involved in the Roman army. No? They had a salary that, well, while they were not doing any war, the soldiers were used for the civil, for the public things, repairing roads, building bridges. So I mean, like people, they were owners of shops, they were plumbers, goldsmiths, people working wood and metal, people making coins. I mean, any kind of uh, job that we can imagine. There were also a lot of laundrettes. People were washing clothes, the so-called fullones, restaurants. So it was a really advanced society. I hope you are enjoying this tour, because we are diving through this not so well, it's famous but not so well known archaeological sites. And right now, here, talking about the jobs, you can see one of the most famous restaurants of of Herculaneum. It's called the Big Taberna, the Big Tavern, where we have so many jars, so many big dolium. So meaning there were a lot of products to sell every single day, and was a corner shop because it's right in the middle of two roads, one north to south, one east to west. They are pretty large, so they could hold inside a lot of liters and many kilos of things. Some of the food could be dry, that's why some of the jars, some of the dolium had a hole on the side. For example, this one here could hold liquid things, while this one to the right could hold solid things, because from the hand they could go from beneath maybe loaves of bread. Because how could people could buy food take away? Easy. They had some piece of bread called the mense they could fill with the food. Imagine like ricotta cheese or like a porridge made of legumes, and then eating along the streets every single day. Or if you had time, you could actually sit on little tables, chairs, maybe with your friends. And we found a lot of paintings now stored in the Museum of Napoli, a couple still in situ in Pompeii, where it's showing people sitting at the table playing dice. So, like today, we could find someone playing cards in a bar or in a salon, no? The same kind of things. You can imagine it has a bustling town city. Yes, yes, definitely. And all of this portion of the city of Herculaneum that is actually facing the little kid is running. He's very happy. Facing the coast, this portion of Herculano, the floor was made of limestone and not basalt. And what I'm showing you with this full landscape mode, uh, it's Ercolano mixing this mud. And here, into the screen now, you will see a proper public Roman fountain. A Roman fountain made of travertine, with the face of a god facing the coast with the two dolphins on the side. Well, this is the entrance of the so-called palestra. The palestra was one of the most important things that was like a sort of a revolution during the time of Augustus. And this one here was restored during that time, because in the two palestra, that was like a sort of a big campus and a place for sport, but also to feel, to create the leaders of the future. The palestra was a big open courtyard for physical exercises. Now, the best part of the palestra of Herculaneum is still under tons of mud. And that is the best corner to understand how hard has been the excavations of this place. Because the wall with all of these green herbs coming, that is not something from the Roman time. That is all part of the eruption. And you can actually understand much more how the city can be extended under this material. Because some of the columns have to stop because they cannot go anymore further through there. That is all part of the volcanic eruption, 79 AD, which is quite dangerous today when it's raining a lot. That's why one of the main things for the archaeological direction of Herculaneum is to protect with a modern net, because during a very heavy rain, part of these volcanic residues can collapse and can be dangerous for us, but also for the archaeological remains. So, dear family, I think that we are exploring in depth, you see. So, I wanted to make 4 episodes of Herculaneum, so tomorrow and the next week as well, because Herculaneum deserve a proper, detailed tour. Please don't forget as well, not just to leave a like or to follow my channel, but you can find into the description of this tour all of the link if you want to leave me a coffee or if you want to donate any kind of thing that you want through PayPal or buy me a coffee. I will be more than happy, really more than happy, because that is something really important for me, because it will give me an extra incentive to go and to make always new things for all of you. Thank you. That is another big table. Honestly, it's one of the most beautiful table I have seen in my life. It's all completely made of marble. And inside the niche on the back, we need to imagine the sculpture of Hercules, the hero, the mythological founder of this place. That could be a goal for the young athletes that they could reach and they could follow every day of their life. Thank you, Artemis. Thank you very much. The tour is not finished, eh? Not finished. I'm still with you. I'm still with you here because what I can show you now, it's something connected with the palestra. It's the excavations of Herculaneum. When we started the tour, I was telling you that they were made with wells and tunnels, and this is the only part of the city that we can go inside the mud. This is an experience because never I could show you there live because there is no signal. Where we are is inside a pool that was connected with the palestra, and around us now and above our head, that it's all mud. So this is all excavated by hands, by people. And this is the same vibe, the same feeling that a traveler of the Grand Tour could have when he was coming to see Herculaneum through these wells that they have to do with the ropes and then tunnels underground. So you can understand how hard has it been for the archaeology to give us the chance to see Herculaneum open air. That was a fountain connected with a palestra, where you can still see a tap made of bronze, actually. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you very much. And right in the middle of this building, which is still now it seems covered. Well, it is covered actually, but in Roman time was open air. We will see the replica. The original is in the museum of a fountain, bronze, showing a snake with several heads. That is another connection with Hercules' life and Hercules' story. Imagine how beautiful it would be having water coming out from the several heads of the Hydra, which is a clear reminder of Hercules' 12 labors. Wow, what a tour, no? We did, family. In a few seconds, I'm coming back to you. I'm just drinking a little bit of water because we did a tour de force running through the beauty. And let's come back to to me. Hello. It's now dark. We started with the sunset. It's a proper evening, and I hope that you could enjoy Herculaneum. I think that we did a great job sharing with all over the world, no? The beauty of these archaeological sites. Remember that you can ask me questions, send me an email. You can find my website, which is called grandtourexperience.com. Um, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. I have a proper website. And in the contact tab, you can find also our email. So if you have a question, if you have a doubt, or if you want to be in touch with me, or if you have friends coming to visit, or let's say you work in a school or a library, or you have a team of friends traveling around, I can help you to organize your tour. So don't be shy, just go, and I will be happy to help you. Remember, please also, into the descriptions of this tour, you can find a link to leave, to offer me a coffee or something via PayPal. I will be more than happy to receive your emails and names uh, coming coming up. I'm reading also some other comments. Thank you very much. Grazie. That has been very, very, very important for me. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Dalia, Rosemary, T, Sherlene, Barbara, Rebecca, Ellen, all of you. Thank you. See you tomorrow, same hour. I guess same hour, but anyway, it's around that time, or maybe 8:30. I don't remember, but anyway, follow the channel. Tomorrow will be Herculaneum Part 2. Now it's time for me for a dinner. Thank you. Stay safe wherever you are. Stay really safe from the heat. Don't go out when it's very, very hot. And see you tomorrow. Ciao a tutti, Raffaele, Naples Grand Tour YouTube channel. And un abbraccio a tutti. Ci vediamo domani. Bye bye.